From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Kent's Meats and Grocery is much more than a grocery store. We carry a full line of quality meats, local and organic vegetables, and a large variety of fish, Green Mountain Smart Control pellet grills, and a full deli case of sandwiches and side dishes.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Kruger. Thank you all so much for waking up with me this morning. You know, it's going to turn out to be another nice day out there. This has been, for the most part, a really nice fall week. It's been cold in the mountains for some of you, right? But in the valley, boy, temperatures in the 60s, even saw some 70-degree readings earlier this week. That's going to change, though, as we do go into the weekend. You can see it's going to be dry and mild through Saturday. So we're going to continue with this trend here at least through the first half of the weekend. Then by Sunday, showers and snow will return, especially to the higher elevations with that snow and very high elevations, which we'll get into that here in a second. But it's going to be a warm series of storms. So these snow levels will be fairly high. I think initially 6,000 feet and probably even higher than that to start off. They'll lower a little bit as we go into next week, but really not by much. Now we take a look at the forecast for today, and it's going to be a little hazy out there, but otherwise, mainly looking at those sunny skies and not to mention temperatures around 60 in the valley. Now I do expect low 60s. That's what we're expecting here this afternoon, but cool again in the mountains, upper 40s there. And it looks like in the low 40s off in the eastern mountains. So yes, it's cold in the mountains, but not as bad, obviously, in the valley. And that's typical, right? It's just colder up in the higher elevations. There's a look at your North Coast forecast, and it's going to be a dry day out there today. Temperatures low 60s. That's going to be the case inland as well. It's that time of the year. The inland and the coast, they just don't see much of a spread temperature-wise, right? So you've got those temperatures right around 60, give or take. And of course, maybe a little bit cooler out in Trinity County with temperatures there in the mid to even some upper 50s as well. Do want to mention that there's an air stagnation alert here, advisory for most of Siskiyou County and Modoc County. Now, essentially what this means is that if you have a wood-burning stove or if you need to burn outside, just kind of limit that because we just have a very stagnant air and we tend to have what was called a temperature inversion. As the temperature increases with height, that tends to trap a lot of the pollutants that we create. And so if you're burning a lot of wood and creating a lot of smoke, then that's going to create poor air quality. So just kind of think about your neighbors, think about your friends and family out here in this area here, because that is something to kind of take into account here. And this is going to continue here as we go through the rest of the week and even parts of the weekend. There's that storm system that's approaching, right? But the main impact is going to be some clouds here for today. I don't anticipate it to bring us any rainfall. Big swirling area of low pressure off to our north and west. This is what's going to be impacting our weather by the second half of the weekend. But one thing to take note, yes, it's a cold storm and you think, wow, this thing's going to come over us, especially you got these speckled clouds here. That's the cold air. If that were to move right on top of us right now, yeah, we'd be looking at some fairly low snow levels. However, this storm is going to swing down to the south, kind of tap into some subtropical moisture, and it will change the air source that it's coming from. So it's going to be a warmer air source, and that's going to mean higher snow levels. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So there you can see that system as it's approached. See how it comes to the south and then coming in from the south and west. As we get these storms coming in from the southwest, two things to take into account. Number one, they typically have more moisture to work with, so we could be looking at some decent amounts of rainfall when it's all is said and done. But number two, since it's warmer, we'll be looking at higher snow levels. So again, that's looking off to the north, moving off to the north and east. But Saturday, still dry. I mean, I think even the coast will be dry, but Saturday evening, we begin to see it kind of push on shore. Now you can see Sunday, 5 p.m., look what's happening. Most of the rain is from basically the valley westward, which by the way isn't all that heavy. And we're not looking at much activity here in, say, Modoc County, eastern mountains in general, right? But I still got a slight chance in there, but I think it's going to really hold off until early next week for the eastern mountains. So there you can see Monday, kind of that widespread rain across the region. Tuesday, we got more of that widespread rain. Now, one you'll notice here, the spine of the Sierra. Again, fairly high snow levels, above 6,000 feet most likely. So we're just not going to see much in the way of snow for a lot of the lower mountain communities like Alturas, Chester is going to be a hard time really getting a lot of that snow as well, not to mention Mount Shasta City. And of course, all in the form of rain in Trinity County, especially out towards Weaverville and Hayfork. Another round of rain off to our west that'll be kind of pushing on through, giving us more rain for Wednesday. But again, notice we're not seeing a lot of blue on the map here, indicating still fairly high snow levels. keeping those high snow levels. But again, some decent rain coming on in. We're seeing less and less chances for rain as you do head to the north part of the state here. And then we go into your Thursday. Maybe some wraparound moisture coming on in, but for now I'm going to keep Thursday dry at this point, not to mention going into that next weekend. So just taking a look at the rainfall amounts, I don't want to really put the numbers on here because I think it'll do you a disservice. But for the most part, just kind of show you where the trend is. Most of the rain is kind of down to the south. We're not seeing as much rainfall off to the northwest, believe it or not. Typically, with a lot of these storms that we've seen so far, most of the rain has been out towards Del Norte County, right? But now we're seeing a little bit more down to the south. So these storm systems, again, are mainly coming from the south and feeding their way northward as opposed to coming from the west and feeding off to the east. So that really does change the overall dynamics and the reason why we tend to see a bit more rainfall down to the south of Del Norte County as opposed to the opposite. So we look at the overall trend here, and yeah, see where most of the rain is, even as we go through December 22nd to the 28th, most of the rain is actually down to the south and to the east. But look at the trend with the temperatures, still above normal. Now, this is not a heat wave by any stretch of the imagination, but it's going to be warmer than normal, and this would indicate fairly high snow levels probably continuing even as these storm systems come through. Look at the wave heights as we take you through your Friday afternoon. You can see we're not going to see much change here. Basically 7 to 8 feet there. Looking at your marine forecast for today, south winds 5 to 10 knots. There you can see your sunset today will be at 4:51. All right, so here's a look at our coastal flood alerts. By the way, another coastal flood advisory. This is mainly due to the still a fairly high astronomical tide. So a lot of the typical low-lying areas along the coast will see that flooding here. So a very good possibility as we take you through the day on Thursday. Of course, today it expires at 1 o'clock today, as that tide will kind of drop a bit. But there's your forecast for today. We'll see some clouds. I think more clouds than we've seen the last few days. We've got that storm system moving through, just giving us clouds, cooler temperatures as a result. Low, maybe some mid-60s in the valley. I'll be honest with you, the last few days I've been kind of under forecasting the daytime highs. I think one day I was saying it was going to be like mid-60s and ended up getting about 70 in the Redding area. So I'll be honest, I mean, kind of a slight bomb of the forecast. These temperatures may be just a tad warmer, but bottom line, not as warm as it has been because of that added cloud cover. Still cold in the eastern mountains, and there you can see upper 50s, low 60s for the coast, and not to mention inland areas and even into Trinity County. All right, let's take a look at your 7-day outlook, and what you're seeing here is snow levels. Look at the snow levels, and this is where I'm going to really pinpoint. If you watched yesterday, or even yesterday evening, I had snow levels even down about 3,500 feet, and I've really increased those. The latest forecast model runs are really keeping that air fairly mild and warm, so that's going to keep those snow levels fairly high. This is not good news for the ski park. The good news is, though, the ski park is borderline, right? The base of the ski park is 5,500 feet. So at the very least, a rain-snow mix, but as you get into the higher elevations of the ski park, Mount Shasta, I think we'll be looking at more in the way of snow, so that could help. Right there you can see an Alturas and 6,000 feet basically, and that's also the case in the eastern mountains. And again, it's mainly starting Sunday into Monday. Now there you can see for the valley, showers coming in for Sunday afternoon, off and on showers. Heavier rainfall for Monday, Tuesday, I think. And then as we go into Wednesday, a chance for more of those showers kind of kicking on in. Temperatures dropping as well as the storm system moves in. There's your coast 7-day forecast. Now I've included a chance for showers mainly in the evening on Saturday, but really for Saturday on the coast, and not to mention inland, you're dry. You're going to be dry also in Weaverville and Trinity County. It's really Sunday that the bulk of the rain moves in, and we keep that chance for rain in there for Monday, Tuesday of next week, and not to mention even into Wednesday.